All right, been a while. Let's start this stream off a little early today. Save it for later on YouTube. Got some stuff I'm working on, and there's the announcement that it's streaming. Working on the Fleshless One for a friend. Want to get this painted, and it shouldn't take that long, but I want to get some coats down. That's just what I'm going to stream today. Some sponge work, and then I'll wash if it dries in time. Should hit with a hairdryer. I'm going to try and do this more often. Just been kind of swamped with other stuff and haven't had time to really do any miniature painting. Have some other assignments I have to do for other people. But yeah, gonna jump right in. Gonna just kind of do what I do here with some sponges. I want to do something real quick here. And all right, 1 second. I don't know why the link still says still painting them all, but we'll see. It should be going now. And we'll go from there. All right. I'm trying to make sure the white balance is okay. What I did was I started with a trick I learned from Steve Riojas. Krylon makes the camouflage paint that Krylon makes is really super flat, and they make some really nice base colors. This is the sand. It's kind of, you can tell what it is. It's a sand color, basically like a khaki. It's great for bone. I think they make a lighter one too, like a more almond color, which they were out of. So I just kind of went with this, and I'll just use this as my base because I wanted what it's supposed to look like. Let me pull up this. This is what I'm working on. This is kind of where I'm headed. So I kind of want to match that kind of old bone color there. The sketch that came with the kit, so it's just, you know, black and white, but it's kind of where I'm headed. I'm going to try and pull in some of these colors. I don't know if you can see it, but there's some purples and vein colors in there and some blue. The kind of the, I don't know, the fleshy work in there, or sinewy muscle material or whatever is kind of connective tissue. I'm going to kind of hit with some red washes, and I'm going to do an overall flesh wash on the bone stuff. So I just want to at least get a coat down of what I'm working on here. And this is not for me. This is for a friend. Just painting it for him. I do things for people I like for free. Can you believe that? Anyway, let's get started. So I usually start with sea sponges when I'm doing stuff like this. Just plain old sea sponges. And I kind of did this when I was doing, this is how I painted Maul's wings. So I do a lot of just breaking up work instead of trying to like noodle things on or try and be organic on purpose. It usually never works for me. So what I like to do is use sponges because it makes things in a more natural random pattern than trying to plan it out with my brain that automatically likes to see patterns. So I'm going to start with getting my sponges wet, and so they're easy, wring them out in the cup, and then go from there. As far as paint goes, I use this Floetrol to mix. It's an old trick. You can get this at Home Depot. It's for latex paint and extending and for rag rolling and all that kind of stuff. But I usually take some of this and kind of a just junky brush for now to mix it up. Where is it? Here. And I take some of this, depending on how much. I'm not gonna need a whole lot. This goes a long way. And I'm gonna start. I already got this base coat, so I want to break that up. I'm gonna get something similar. So what I have some of this Tusk Ivory from Reaper, And I like their paints, so just start shaking that up and get it going. Put the glasses on so I can actually see up close at this point. I think I need bifocals. I haven't used this in a while, so it's probably, you can break these tops off, which is nice. And these cups, don't tell anybody, Culvers. I always take a handful when I'm in there because I use them for ketchup at home. And I just kind of mix that in there. And I might turn the white balance back on here. And just kind of mix that up. This might need a little more full chalk because you're kind of getting, you want this to be semi-transparent. Let me get a little more in there because I don't think that's going to go far enough. Ooh, too much. That's alright. That'll work out. No, that's actually about right. So you want this to be evenly mixed up. It's kind of easy to see. Let me get in there. Yeah, I don't know. Let me see if I can adjust the white balance here for a second. I'm not sure. I'm still working out kinks. No, that looks too... Hold on a second. Let me try this. Get this down. That's how I like to do this. I have this nice piece of gray. Yeah, that's about right, I guess. Stick with that. Oh well. Keep that under. That's good. It's a little, that's about right. Okay. So cap, put this back on. Take this, take this. So if you didn't see any of the mall videos, it's pretty fairly simple. I just kind of just break up the original color and get that out of the way. And just take this, take that. I'm gonna do it in here first. Get about that much on there. Okay. And then tap it off on a piece of paper towel. And then just work my way around. It doesn't really matter at this point. The washes are going to kind of pick up. Yeah, I don't like that color. It doesn't really match real life. That's a little closer. Real quick. Yeah, that's fine. So, like I said, just tap it around and break up that surface just using this. I'm going to do this multiple layers of working my way up to almost like a plain white, and then go back and wash and highlight and do this. So I just want to break up this pattern. Kind of see. And it'll dry flat. I mean, as in you're not going to get any raised texture out of that or anything like that. But so I'll leave this to dry for a bit. Get a little more. Tap it around. Want to make sure I get everywhere. And it just creates a nice little pattern with the sponge. And you can even like bend the sponge to get in places it might not get. You can already tell that's starting to dry, and the more Floetrol you have in there, the less you'll see it when it dries, which makes sense. But so that means you just have to keep adding layers and layers of color. And it's nice to build up a sense of depth on whatever you're working on. And so with this, I can almost set it aside already. Just kind of get this all the way around. So that's looking about right. Yep, I'm liking that. I think I got everywhere. Okay. Let's set this off to the side. Ugh, don't want to touch anything. Ugh. Okay. For the body, same kind of thing. It's a lot bigger piece, but still going to try and hit everywhere I need to hit. Tap it around. And start breaking up that surface. And sometimes you don't need to go back to the pot. You can go straight to where you are working on the paper. Let me get rid of that paper and put this down. And it's a fairly easy way to create something that looks a lot more natural than if you tried to do it with noodling or other ways that people like to do this. I don't know. For me, it's become my go-to way of starting because it gives you a nice place to start. Once you got a nice little pattern going on, you can kind of pick out things that you like, things that you don't, and highlight those or kind of knock them back a bit. And it might not seem like much when you're doing it until you're kind of to the end and you get some washes on there. You'll start to see some of that. And I think I'm going to add just maybe a little bit of green to a mix to kind of bring it up. There's a really cool, I always talk about them, but Secret Weapon Washes has two of my favorite colors that I use a lot for things. I go through and just, I think this might call for them actually. First one is Baby Poop, which is like a really cool green brown, which I think would work great here for some of this stuff. And the other one is Sewer Water, which is similar, a little more red to it. So I think I'm going to add those in there into the mix a little bit and start off after I get this first layer done. And it's just a matter of experimenting. That's what I kind of like. You're not stuck with a bottle of paint saying, oh, I got to do this step 1, step 2, layer here, layer there. If you're a miniature painter, you're kind of used to, especially if you stick to what Games Workshop does and says, hey, you got to do this first, this first, this first. Sometimes that's not the best way, especially when painting larger scale things. You want to kind of experiment and see where it goes. And then you see guys that they paint everything they have exactly the same every single time. And that's good if you have to get a bunch of stuff done fast. But for me, I don't work fast. I don't really do stuff for clients anymore. And so I just kind of like to experiment, and I work a little more organically than that and just see what works, see what colors work, and if they don't, start over and kind of hide mistakes. Sometimes mistakes are good. Not to sound like Bob Ross, but there's happy mistakes, there's good mistakes. You learn stuff from everything you're trying. If you don't try something new, you're never going to learn anything, and you're going to be painting the same thing for years. And that is not fun. You see people that use way too dark of flesh tones and they thought it looked good once, so they keep doing it over and over and over. Or they liked pastels and never moved past that, and they do everything in pastels, which is great for some things, but some things it just doesn't work the best. So let's see if you can see in there and let that dry. Oops. Got on my finger a bit. Now, for places that I can't get with the sponge, like in there, I'll use an old, like kind of ratty brush like this. And just kind of pick up some of the color and tap it around. That way you're not missing spots. This one has some raised areas that aren't going to get hit all the time, especially under these bones. Now as this is drying, you can see that it's really kind of vanishing, so they're going to need a lot more paint as I slowly build it up, which is fine. That's kind of what you want to do. You don't want to start off too strong. Like we're down here, it's kind of vanished already. But again, subtle is where you're headed. You want to build it up slowly. Bring it back with some more on top. And I'm going to let that dry for a bit. Put it back on the base. So the cool thing about this stuff is you can hit it with a hairdryer to speed up what you're doing. Let me do that. You might be able to see some of that just vanish. You're going to make like, well, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? It's about layers. You never want to start off too much. It's slowly starting to go away. I'm sure it's fun listening to a hairdryer. You might ask why I have a hairdryer. I had this thing since like '94. Yeah, that's starting. You can see how that is broken up on there quite a bit, even though it's knocked back a whole lot, and that's what you want. You want to slowly see that go. Stop there for a second. So yeah, you can see how that dried and kind of vanished, which is okay. That's what I wanted. Breaks up everything. The cool thing about the Culver's cups is they have lids, so you can save that stuff for later. So let me hit everything with a hairdryer. I know this is going to be boring for just a second. Drop something. Time out. Where'd it go? That's hilarious. Vanished. Oh well. Get it in a minute. Alright, so with that drying, I'll show you what I do next. So I'm going to take this original mix here. Take this original, mix it with, like I said, because we don't need a lot. I'm just going to save this and remember that is kind of my base. Cap that up. And I'm going to take some of that baby poop color and put a couple drops in there. Put one drop and see what happens. Yeah, that's a green. So let me mix that up. So that gives you a nice kind of a greenish tan, which is pretty, it's different than there. Well, that's good. So I'm not gonna add any more Floetrol to that. I'm just gonna keep with what it is. Go back to this sponge, tap it out, and you can kind of see the difference on the tray. And just, again, go around, start tapping it up. Now again, doesn't look like much now. I'm going to come back to that later. I'm actually going to do another, go with some darker, add a couple drops, let that dry. Kind of like in the way that's looking. So set that. I drop a lot of stuff. So, I think okay, back to the body, same thing. I think the base I'm going to do in rusty old to make it look like it's weathered and use some of the rusting things. Some of that paint for that. Get a chance. Let's do that later. So this is going to be, I'm hoping a couple day build. Should get kind of far today with it. Just kind of give the basics. I'll just keep tapping this on and then maybe come back and do the washes as another video. And come back later tonight, let this dry for a bit, stream again later, because not much going on here. Flip around. This is solid cast, so it's actually really heavy and hard to manage with that one hand. I didn't drill anything in. I don't know how that nick happened. Yeah, let's start there. For now, put this back on. So you can kind of see what's going on there. All right. So now that I need some more. This time I'm gonna add more of that, a little more Ultron. I don't know what happened to the bottle that dropped. But yeah, it's kind of fun because you're just experimenting with different layers, and it really doesn't matter as long as you have the sense to know when to stop, which is really hard for some people. So this color, let's see in there, but this color is clogged. Yeah, this one's a little gonna drop. Come on. There we go. It's a little darker. The sewer water is than the baby poop. I can mix that up. Yeah. And I really just want this guy to look like old bone more than anything else. Yeah, that's a good color. Actually, it's pretty close to the original. Yeah, it's got some cool greens in there. So I'm gonna sponge this out. You don't really have to even clean your sponge while you're working on it, but it helps in between transitions. So I'll just take a piece of paper towel, squeeze it in there, get all the water out. It's pretty clean. Again, just tapping that out. Yep, a lot darker. So let me hit this again. Preview as to what I'm working on. Ninja Turtles I got to start going on. I bought a ton of Blood Bowl stuff over at Adepticon. I want to get building that. Some more Shadespire stuff I've got. I want to do a video review of some of these miniature handles that I got. One that I 3D printed versus two that I bought. I don't know how I lived without those things before. It might not seem like a lot, but those grips are awesome. All of them. Well, not all of them. Some are better than others, I'm finding. But so far, I really like them. Yeah, okay. Let me set that's got a nice green tinge to it. Set that to the side. Go back to this. Yeah. So sometimes even I'll do a bunch of layers of this and then do a wash. And it really helps to kind of let it dry a little bit before you move on to your next color so that you're not just mixing colors on the surface and you're stamping them over each other. But I'll do a couple layers, maybe do a wash, see how I'm liking it, and then go back and do some more, and then do another wash and just kind of keep repeating that. I'm liking the way that's looking. This green really helped. Oop, almost dropped it. I can't. It's a good 3 pounds. I should weigh it. If I can get in there. I see the difference between the two sides. But yeah, it's looking good. I can go back and do some of those white colors over it. Yeah, that looks about right for now. So, gonna continue to build that up. Hit his forehead, which I don't like to do. Tap that back on. Clean this out. Get a lid. Save this for later, so I'm gonna need that. It's really hard. I have this set up for miniatures, but I need to find a way to set this up for. I knew that was going to happen. Set this up for larger scale stuff. A better way to do the cameras. Get cords everywhere. So you can pull this off without. Yeah, there. It's still going to be in the shot, but back this out a bit. Cool thing about. Oops, popped it off. Kind of see up close my studio, my bench. Pop that back on. Flip it around. Got it the wrong way. This is real professional. Camera gets hot, and it didn't lock up. That's good. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and keep doing that. This cord maybe goes that way. I don't know. I gotta find a better way to do this. Some zip ties. I have some. There you go. Fleshless One. Still working on it. Let's see. Let me go back and add it should come down a little bit. Back him up. Go back and add some of the original. Just tap that on, hit it with a, there looks like there's something on there. Gotta be careful, sometimes like you'll pick up dust or hairs or other things you don't want in there. This dries pretty fast, which is good. I'm wondering if I think this beige from Vallejo might be nice to drop in there. Let's see. I don't remember the last time I used this color for anything. And again, clogged. Man. Yeah, that's in bad shape. That's really old. Need some new beige. How chunky that is. Let me mix it in. See what happens. Brightens it up a bit. That's nice. Yeah, that might work. Yep, that's going to be fine. All right. So again, let's just, I'm not going to add any extra Floetrol. I'm just going to stick with what I got. Go back and, oh, that did not turn out good. Less pressure with this. You start to, like, you get worried, because it happens to me every time that I'm obscuring some of the detail or hiding some of that stuff, but that first wash that you do will bring it all right back, and you'll just be like, okay, it's going to be fine. So I might just let this dry and do a wash and see what happens. Maybe another highlight real quick. And pick out higher features, because that's what I'll do is I'll go back and say, well, it needs higher, needs to be a little brighter there. Maybe hit it with an airbrush, but I've not been using my airbrush lately for stuff like this, especially. Set that down. Go back to the body. one isn't getting any love. Someone wants to get on me. There we go. So let's stick with that for a second. And take a quick break. Let's see. Again, it's hard to make it look right. Where did that bottle go that I dropped? Put it on this. I think I'm going to lighten that up. Go back with some more of the green. There it is. Really like this. Let's do two drops of that. One drop baby poop. Throw a little bit of this back in. A little more of this. Start doing some shadows. Let's see. This, I think I'm going to tap in for some of the cracks. Yeah, just with a brush, go in some of the darker areas. Just tap it in there. Although it's gonna, a lot of the wash will take care of a lot of that. Well, that's doing what I really want it to do. Kind of glazing it in there, really. Kind of picking out some darker areas. I know there should be some shadows, and I'm just kind of pressing it in. Between, like, they almost look like gills, but and then wipe it off. Any extra. A lot of this is hidden when it's on there, so that's why I kind of left it. Get up under his eyes a bit. Oop, too much. Oh, it might be kind of hard to see. But yeah, just kind of going for deeper areas. Kind of like you would do with an airbrush if you were shading. But just kind of picking out some of those darker spots and then just wiping it. If it's too much, just kind of blend it out. There's some cracks in the skull that you don't want to lose, but I think I'm pretty confident that a wash should bring them back. See, like right there, something got in my paint. Cover it as best I can. Yeah, I think that's working. Again, you don't have to be neat to make things precise. Sometimes precise is bad. Wash is going to help quite a bit. And going back with that original highlight color is going to help quite a bit too. I feel like this is peeling off there. But I don't know if you can see that, but you start to get some really cool textures as you do this layer by layer. And that's what you want. You don't want plain smooth, especially since this, I took this as not really bone, but more of like a living kind of armor, so it's not just going to be like bleach white. Which would be boring. So tap a little there. I might go ahead and let those dry before moving on to anything else today. It's not there how long I've been going, I don't even know. Should check the time. Set that off to the side. Move this here a little bit. Yeah, this looks... this is not going to be a hard thing to make look awesome. Well, as awesome as possible for me. I'm not great. Kind of tapping this into the darker areas, just like on there, but here it's a little more prominent because you do have sorry, getting over being sick, which is one of the reasons I haven't been painting that much this week. Spring break from work and I get sick. Awesome. It's like my body knows that, hey, you can get sick now. You don't have to be around kids. Or adults. And just tapping it into the lower parts of that bone. I sponge in the water so it doesn't get ruined. Yeah, got too much there, so I'm just going to use out of that. Already forgot. Habit. Keep tapping the camera. I might do a little bit of tiny vein work with the airbrush, I'm thinking, to kind of pull some of that stuff out, but we'll see. Still the best vein color. Riojas blue, that vein from Comart, best. Pull some of that, get some purple in there too. Well, that's kind of formulated to work on skin. I wonder how it'll look on here. I don't want to ruin anything. Back side of this shoulder blade. Definitely. underneath there, yep. Just thin enough to where you're going to still see some of that original and some of the newer highlight colors through, which is good. You don't want to just be covering everything up. Would defeat the purpose. My hand's hurting. I guess I could set this down, but then you wouldn't see it. Almost there. And then I'm just going to let this dry and take a break for a bit. It's not symmetrical, so you got to kind of gauge where you need stuff. For some of these deeper ones, I'm just going straight from there. Alright, I'm going to let that dry. See what the head's looking like. Set that up there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You know what, real fast, I'm going to do a little bit back to this color. And then let it dry. messaging me. Uh-oh. All right, yep. Back to just this original, second original. Kind of, you know what? I'm going to add a little more. That seems like it needs some. This time, though, I'm going to kind of aim for, I'm not going to do an all over. I'm going to kind of aim for higher spots. Even though it'll bleed over into lower spots, but just going to kind of aim for slightly higher areas. Like, let me show. Like in here, here, here. I'm just going to kind of scrunch it up so I have a smaller area to work with there. I think I need my skinnier. Oh well. No, it's working. Yeah, stick with that and then let this come back, do another highlight, and then a wash. Let's see. I'll do that later tonight. Don't break. Same thing here. Kind of shoot for slightly higher areas. Now before I do any of that wash, I'm gonna have to do a sealant coat. It's getting kind of hard. Yep. All right. There went that. Oy. You know how heavy that was? Yep. Took a nick out of the back. Couple. Let that kind of pile up on there. And another one. Told you I dropped stuff. Alright. Hands get tired. I'll let this dry. And we'll stop there. I'll be back later tonight with some more. Let's get this put up there, let that dry, clean things out. I'll be back later tonight with maybe a wash or two. Stick with it. Let's see if I can pull this out. Kind of get, in case you haven't seen it, like scale wise, that's how big it is. That's what I'm working on. Don't break. Okay. All right. Talk to you later.